Hi beautiful people, Thompson here again on Faithfully Booked. You're watching Faithfully Booked. Thank you for tuning into another video on the Faithfully Booked YouTube channel. In case you're wondering what is Faithfully Booked about, Faithfully Booked, you get books reviewed from a Christian worldview. You get all the most amazing book recommendations across different genres and the occasional vlogs here and there and there and there. Anyway, so today I just want to dive into a really important video. I think rain wants to fall, right? So in this book, I'll just be getting into my recent romance reads, right? So this video, I'm going to be sharing my No Spice recent romance reads. My No Spice recent romance reads. So romance is not really a genre I read, right? It's not a genre I seek out. It's not a genre I read. I'm not like, okay, oh, this is a romance book, let me read this. I don't know why. I just don't, right? I read more fantasy or romantasy, right? So I don't really read the romance genre like that. But the books that I'm going to be sharing in this video, you have to read them. If you're a romance lover, you have to read these books, right? So I'm going to be sharing 3 books, right? But I'll only be diving deeply into 2 of those books, right? So, and the most important thing about these books is not just that it's romance, but the fact that it is no spice. This is clean romance reads, right? So because you should be able to enjoy the romance genre. If it's a genre you like, fine, right? But it should not be at the expense of your heart, because you remember, if you are, if you've been here for a while, you remember all about guarding our hearts, and we understand that the books that we read are one of the ways we actually, expose our hearts to different things. So it's just important that we are filtering the books we read. It's just important that we're not just reading anything and everything, right? So it's just really important. So the books that I'll be recommending in this video, you can give it to your 14-year-old younger sister, you can give it to your 14-year-old child, you can give it to your 14-year-old whatever, right? So you can give them, I think you can safely give them to your 14-year-old, because these books are clean romance reads and these are the books we should be reading. So the first book that I'll be recommending is Before I Called You Mine by Nicole Deese. This book follows the story of Lauren Bailey. Lauren is an elementary school teacher, first grade to be exact, and for the longest time her dream has been to adopt a child, right? So she's like currently on that route of international adoption, and she's planning to adopt a child from China, right? Because that's what she considers a call. That's the dream that she has had for the longest time. It's a new school year, and like I said, she's a first grade teacher, and a new teacher comes in, a new substitute teacher comes in, because like the normal first grade teacher had an accident over the holidays, and it turned out to be none other than Joshua Avery. And Joshua happens to be the child of Lauren's favorite child author, right, / educator. And this Joshua Avery's father has just been a really great inspiration to her, and one of the inspirations, for her getting into teaching and teaching children, and and her being all about children and everything. So as the 2 first grade teachers, Lauren and Joshua, start getting closer and closer, there are things that bring them together, and and all of that. They start get closer and everything and all of that. But there's the whole adoption thing between them, because the most important thing to Lauren is actually adopting a child from China, giving this child a brand new home, a brand new future, and just giving this child hope. That's the thing she has wanted for the longest time. That's the thing she believes she's called to do, right? So she believes that she's called to just adopt a child from China, right? She believes that God has called her to adopt a child. We get to a point where Lauren actually has to choose between hope you didn't see that. It gets to a point where Lauren has to choose between just being comfortable in a relationship with an amazing and handsome guy, or actually going ahead with what she believes she has been called to do, actually going ahead, with this dream that she has had for the longest time, and she just has to choose between that. And this book just really helped us to see that, like on the path to purpose, right, there you have to make sacrifices, right, that to get what you actually want to get, right, it's not just, everything's not just going to be handed to you on a platter of gold, right, but you actually have to make sacrifices along the way, right? So sacrifices are just something that you'd have to do. Sacrifices are something that is basically just part of the job description, right? Like you have to sacrifice, you have to let go of some things, you know, the law of trade-offs, right? You have to let go of some things to get something, right? And you just have to hope that what you're letting go of, right, or what you are letting go for, you know, is greater than what you are letting go of, right? So eventually we see whether Lauren, we get to see the choice that Lauren actually makes, right, which I'm not going to be divulging in this video, obviously. Please check out the book, right? It's a really beautiful book. I really love this book. This book was really heartwarming. I like the chemistry between Lauren and love interest Joshua, right? Like, Joshua was an amazing guy. I can't even lie. Joshua was an amazing guy. And, you know, maybe it just made it harder, right? That, you know, if Lauren is going to, you know, pursue a call, right, she'll have to leave Joshua because she has applied, like, and it's been a long time. She applied for international adoption as a single person, right? The other option is to apply as a couple, right? But she's already applied as a single person, and that's why basically she keeps all the prospects, everything, relationships, all of that, she just keeps it at arm's length, right? Because she has applied to adopt a child as a single person, right? So that's that. And, you know, it just makes it harder that she has to let go of this amazing guy just to walk in, you know, what God has for her, or she has to let go of this amazing guy to just, you know, pursue a call, right? But hopefully it's worth it at the end of the day. If she acts, we don't know the choice she makes, right? But hopefully the one she chooses is actually worth it. And in this book, we really just see the importance of family. We see the importance of community, not just even like family, like blood family. We see the importance of community. We see the importance of friends. We see the importance of support systems, right? That was something that, you know, was actually emphasized and highlighted in this book. Like, let's say you are new to a territory, you're new to, let's say, parenting, for instance. A community is something that can actually help you, and that's something that we actually saw in this book, because we got to see something like an adoption support group, something like that, right? You know, this thing that, let's say, people that are trying to stop being so like invested in alcohol, you know, join that, and maybe alcohol support group, right? We see this thing. We also see it like for adoption, we see it for parenting, and it was just really amazing. So I rated this book 4.5 stars. It was really amazing, and, you know, I really like this book. Before I Called You Mine by Nicole Deese, a book about adoption, book about community, a book about faith, a book about pursuing your calling, no matter the sacrifices you have to make, and whether it's convenient or it's not convenient, because some things, right, are not going to be convenient. Some things are not going to be, you know, comfortable, right? Some things you have to sacrifice for it, and do what you gotta do what you have to do. So the next book is none other than The Romcommers by Katherine. I absolutely love this book. I rated it at 5.5 stars. Might as well be a 5.5 stars, right? You know, it was really amazing. I really love this book. And in case you're wondering from the title, okay, what is this book about, right? This book is about romance, comedy, and a little bit of tragedy sprinkled here and there. So it's a romantic comedy novel, right? You probably watched all those movies, all those rom-com movies, right? This is a rom-com book, and it just hit the nail on the head, did an amazing job, right? So I'm definitely going to be reading more Katherine Center after this. In this book, I was just highlighting because the book was really funny. The book was really, you know, I really loved the book. Anyways, let's get into what the book was actually about. So this book follows the story of Emma Wheeler. So Emma happens to be a screenwriter, right? But she's a screenwriter that has turned down a number of opportunities because of her dad, right? She has turned down a number of opportunities that could really elevate her in the world of screenwriting, just so that she could take care of her dad, because a rock climbing accident left her dad paralyzed and in a really bad state, right? But another opportunity comes up this time around, and this opportunity is to work with the greatest screenwriter of all time, right, of their time, none other than Charlie Yates. And eventually she gives in after much persuasion from her younger sister Sylvia and her dad, right? And it's a really good opportunity. There's money, there's this, and there's the opportunity to, you know, completely rewrite this rom-com, because Charlie Yates did a terrible job at writing the rom-com, right? Because he doesn't believe in love. Oh my god, I'm jumping ahead of myself. He doesn't believe in love, and the only reason he actually wrote the rom-com is so that he could get a movie deal for one of his other screenplays, right? So that's basically the backstory. And of course, Emma has never left her dad like in such a manner before, because anything can happen to her dad at any time. You know, like I mentioned, he's paralyzed, like I think he's paralyzed on one side of his body or something like that, and he also has Meniere's disease. So I think he has hemiplegia and Meniere's disease, so leaving him is not really an option for her, right? But it's something that she eventually does because her younger sister returns home, and her younger sister is basically there to take care of him, right? But she's still skeptical, but eventually she does go, and so she goes to California, she goes to Hollywood, and she meets Charlie Yates. Only that she gets there and things are not actually, you know, like they were painted to be. Things are not actually what she thought they were, right? But the deal is simple, right? The task is is not very simple, but the task is simple: to rewrite a rom-com screenplay, to rewrite Charlie Yates' rom-com screenplay with him. Write the screenplay of the greatest screenwriter of all time with the greatest screenwriter of all time, right? And eventually, only that, you know, like I already said, he doesn't believe in love, and he doesn't even want to rewrite the rom-com world. He just wants it to be passable so that he will get his movie deal for one of his other screenplays, like I already mentioned. So eventually, Charlie and Emma, they are working on the screenplay together, you know, and all of that. And it turns out at the end of the day that Emma finds herself falling in love with Charlie. Like, I mean, what do you expect with all that first, like, it wasn't exactly first proximity actually, but what do you expect, you know, living together and writing together? Like, what do you expect? What do you expect living together and writing together and all these things and all these things and all these things, right? And basically she takes it upon herself to rewrite the rom-com very well, right? Because that's her specialty. Her own specialty in screenwriting is rom-coms, right? And also to get him to believe in love. So they do a lot of writing together, they go on a number of adventures together, things like line dancing, you know, all of that, and we shall see the outcome. We see the outcome of the book, right? So this book was really good. It was funny, loved the humor, loved the dialogue between the main characters. I loved the, okay, I won't say I love the characters, but the characters were well developed. I really liked it. I liked their story, liked the chemistry between them, right? Very funny, right? It's a rom-com, like I said, really funny. And what else about this book? So in this book we see, like I already mentioned, we see tragedy in this book. And what I'm just taking away from this book is the fact that, you know, there will always be tragedy, right? I'll just include like a sentence from the book or something like that. There will always be tragedy. Tragedy is like part of life, right? Even Jesus Christ had to say that in this world you have many troubles, but be of good cheer because I have overcome the world. And we see people that went through tragedy in this book, but we're still smiling like through it, or smiling at the end of it, right? And there was another line where Emma was like, you know, so my dad was right, we're eventually okay, and it only took us 10 years. So that was another line, right? So we see tragedy, right? Tragedy is part of life. Everything would always work out how you want it to work out, but you know, you can actually, how you approach it, you can actually approach it in like an okay way. So it's not really about, is there going to be tragedy, are bad things going to happen, but you know what you actually do in the face of these bad things, what you actually do in the face of this tragedy. And I really liked how the book just explored that. I liked, you know, we see a whole lot of family, we see, you know, family was highlighted in this book as well, just like the first book Before I Called You Mine. So family was highlighted in this book. I like character formation, you know. Anyways, I like the romance between the characters. But one thing that I did not like about this book, I did not like the fact that Emma was literally begging Charlie, you know, to love her or whatever, right? So it got to a point where she was begging, and I'm like, no, like, girl, get your act together. Like, why are you begging this guy to, you know, to whatever, right? But she was, and you know, Charlie is not like a bad person or anything, right? And it makes sense at the end why, you know, he was refusing her and all of that, and you know, it makes sense at the end. But that she was doing that just really got to me, and I was like, no Emma, right? But yeah, so I really liked this book. This book was really interesting. This book was really good. We get to see, you know, Charlie and Emma doing a lot of writing together, him introducing her to like Hollywood stars. It was a really interesting book, I have to admit. It was a really interesting book. And another line from the book, like I mentioned, I had to highlight a whole lot in this book. Another line from the book that, you know, just basically gives us insight into the character, you know, or basically the relationship, and you know, just a little bit into the dialogue between Charlie and Emma, was this line, right? And it was basically when Emma moved in, the first night that Emma moved into Charlie's place. I'm not saying anything about that, right? But you know, why are you living with a person you just met? Why are you living in the house of a person you just met? I mean, it was a friend that introduced her to him, and she knows a lot about him. He's a celebrity and all of that, but please, like, I think she should do better than that. Anyways, right, so it was, so I think I memorized this line, so I'm just going to read it out loud. Charlie saw my eyes widen at the sight. I didn't know what she liked. I just got it all. And I'm like, okay. And there were just many, like, really funny and really interesting lines in this book, the Romcommers. So I'm definitely going to be reading more Katherine Center. There was no spice. We're not seeing anything we're not supposed to see. We're not seeing like any explicit scenes or anything. Like, this book was just clean from head to toe. It was very clean from head to toe. Very clean from head to toe. So this was a book that I really enjoyed reading. 5 stars, 5.5 stars. Really loved it from beginning to the end. Really loved the book. Loved everything about the book. Loved everything except what I did not love, right? So this is definitely a book that I'll be recommending. If you're looking for romance books, read either of these two. Read either of these two books. And the third book that I'll actually be making mention of is Lovely War, but I recently reviewed it. So I'll not be going in depth into it, but basically this book follows romance in the midst of war, right? And how the war brings people together and how it also like separates them, right? So we explore Aubrey and Colette's story, as well as Hazel and James' story, as the gods are basically playing a hand in all of it. I just remembered something that I did not include in one of the videos, but I'll just say it here, right? And we just see the gods just playing a part in Aubrey and Colette's story, in Hazel and James' story, and that book just really helped me to just realize that these gods, they are so invested in the lives of these mortals, and it just really helped me to see that this is how God is interested and invested in, you know, the lives of human beings, right? Really invested, really interested, and really present in the lives of human beings, right? Like how there was a lot of music in Lovely War, even in the face of love between the characters. We see Aphrodite playing her cards, we see Ares being present in the midst of war, Hades present in the midst of death, Apollo's present in all the music that was going on, and it just helped us to see that, you know, God is actually this present in our life, not all these gods, not this Aphrodite, no, like God, like the Almighty God is actually present in our lives, right? So our work life, sports, academics, love, whatever it is, our health, everything, even in the face of death, God is there. God is very present. God is very present. And see this Bible verse, God is a very present help in times of trouble, right? So it just really helped me to just see again and just reaffirmed the omnipresence of God. Omnipresence, yeah, the omnipresence of God. God is always present. God is in everything. God is in everything. Like, and there's this song by One House that basically goes, you're in everything, no matter what I'm in. God, you're in everything, right? So I might just include it in the bio or in the description, right? And so Lovely War, really beautiful romance, very clean, no spice, no smut, right? And everything. So I'll just advise you to also stay away from, to as much as you can, right? To as much as you can, just stay away from books that deeply dive or deeply delve into smut, spice, and all of that. That just try to stay away from smut. Try to stay away from like illicit scenes, both in books and in movies. They don't really help your mind. They don't really help your heart state, right? And it's just important that we guard our hearts, right? We guard our hearts, because what goes into you basically determines what flows out of you, right? So you read it in books, you read it, you allow yourself to actually read it, you know, instead of like skipping these particular chapters or skipping this particular scenes, and you just, oh, you read it, and you think that, you know, you're enjoying yourself or whatever it is, or you're getting experience. I don't know. And you read it and you read it and you read it, and you read more. It basically leaves a mark on you, right? In that what you read, you think about, right? So it goes into your mind, goes into your heart, and it's just there. And even if you don't act on it, it's still there, right? It's still there, you know, it's still there, right? So as much as you can, right, please stay away from smut, stay away from spicy scenes, stay away from all this like really detailed explicit scenes. Please, like, from me to you, please just stay away from it. Stay away from all of that. That's why I have collated these 3 books, right? This no spice romance recommendation, because I know that there are a number of people that actually like this romance genre, right? And you'd like to read books that don't necessarily require you to like compromise, or don't necessarily require you to read all these scenes that are not healthy for your heart and your mind, right? So these 3 books, Before I Called You Mine by Nicole Deese, The Romcommers by Katherine and Lovely War by Julie Berry. These 3 books, they give you all the romance feels or whatever it is people enjoy in romance, the really nice chemistry and romance between the characters, but nothing explicit, right? Nothing explicit. Maybe there are kissing scenes, right? But nothing explicit, nothing explicit, nothing detailed. And like I said, probably a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old can read this, and you can read this. So these are 3 no spice clean romance reads that you can read this week, or you can read this weekend. Let me know if you've heard of any of them, or if you'd be reading any of them. And if you have any other clean romance recommendations, please drop them in the comment section, and I'll see you next week. Please drop a like and a subscribe if you are not subscribed, because you're the only one that is not subscribed. So bye guys.